Evan Mobley struggled in their last meeting against the Celtics. He had just 7 points, but it was his first game back from the calf injury that made him miss about 10 days. Jason, we talked on the YouTube show about his bounce back, but is Mobley the X factor tonight against the Celtics, or is it someone else on the Cavaliers roster?
Well, we just spent 20 minutes on the YouTube show talking about DeAndre Hunter, so it feels a little disingenuous now to call Evan Mobley the X factor. I'm going to stick with DeAndre Hunter. If you missed the YouTube show, go back and watch what Mike was able to demonstrate and show you just how important he is to what they're trying to do, particularly on the defensive end. We spent quite a bit of the show talking about just how he changes the way the Cavs can go about guarding Boston. They traded for DeAndre Hunter for this series. That was a big motivating factor in acquiring him, was knowing that they needed that length and athleticism on the wing to combat against Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis on switches. So at this point, I have to stick with DeAndre Hunter as my X factor.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll with Jason on this one because DeAndre Hunter really augments and gives other people runway to get their money off. Like, think about it. DeAndre Hunter is gonna be on Brown and Tatum. So now you look at how much better Isaac Okoro can be, because now he's another defensive piece that you could put out there to run around with Derek White or Holiday. When you take a look at guys that are going to be able to come off the bench like Dean Wade, who is a good plus defender, all of a sudden the Cavs went from a really good offensive team that defense was there, but they got a lot of good defensive pieces and parts that they can bring and utilize that Kenny Atkinson can do it off the bench. And that is all because that Hunter is going to be an upgrade at that position, 6'8". The wingspan is crazy. He's been knocking down shots, but I'm going to go with Jason. To me, DeAndre Hunter makes this team a different type of beast altogether.
I'm going to be really disingenuous, and I'm going to say yes to both. Because I want to be a little, we have to have some disagreement here. I do think that, yes, Evan Mobley is DeAndre Hunter is the X factor, because he literally is the X factor. He's the only one that hasn't been a part of this series so far. We've seen Porzingis, even though he was limited in the series last year, he didn't play at all against the Cavs, and that allowed Evan Mobley to look like he was the Evan Mobley we saw this year. But in the regular season game, when Porzingis was back, Evan Mobley looked lost in that matchup. So I'm going to say yes, that DeAndre Hunter is the X factor tonight, because we have so much to learn about how he changes this matchup. But I will say that the Cavs will not win a 7-game series against the Celtics if Evan Mobley doesn't take the step from last year's regular season to this year that he's taken, the same step against Boston and Porzingis. He's got to improve. He's got to show that Porzingis is not his kryptonite. And we can learn that tonight. I'll be watching that. And you know what? I think DeAndre Hunter being on the floor will help Evan Mobley try to achieve that growth and that improvement against Porzingis. He's grown so much in confidence. We heard him at the All-Star break say that in the next 5 years that he thinks that he's going to be in the conversation with Wemby as the greatest player, active player in the NBA. He wouldn't have said that a year ago. No. So as his skill set has blossomed, his confidence has blossomed. And I'm a firm believer in this. In the NBA, more than any other sport, you've got to know you can do it before you go out and actually do it. Yeah. It is a tough man versus man sport. And once you believe you can do it, the first hurdle to doing it has been knocked down. And I think that he believes he can do it now. So I'm confident that he can have success against Porzingis.
I'm going to make the case for Evan Mobley, because I do think you can make a solid case for DeAndre Hunter, but Evan Mobley, when he plays well, opens up everything, and I mean everything, for this Cavaliers offense. And from a defensive standpoint, just like how Hunter will be used as a chess piece against Tatum and Brown and Porzingis at times, Evan Mobley's not just on that same level of defender as DeAndre Hunter. He's even more versatile, and he's a better shot blocker. And he's probably not as laterally quick on the perimeter, but he will be in those same situations, getting caught up in switches, and the ability for him to hold up against Tatum and Brown and whoever else they have on the perimeter is equally as important. But the Cavaliers cannot become just a jump shooting team against Boston. They have to get points in the paint, and Hunter's good at that. but he's not as good as Evan Mobley in that instance. I think getting over the bugaboos from the last matchup against Porzingis will be a big mental hurdle for Evan Mobley, who also struggled in the game they beat Boston earlier. He only had 9 points in that matchup, 4 of 13 from the floor, so he hasn't performed that well against KP this season. But he's too good to struggle 3 times in a row against the same caliber of defender. I think Mobley has a big game tonight, and I think the Cavs win.
Man, I'd love to see it. This is one of those games that I just can't wait for tip-off.
Yep.
You know, that happens a couple times a year for me in the regular season, and this is one of them. It should be fun tonight, and it's cool that it's also a nationally televised game.